Hey beautiful, how are you doing? Welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time. Hi. Today we're going to talk about the gay dangers of prison. The dangers of gay dating in prison. Whoo! Dum 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 dum. Yeah, this question was actually brought on by one of you lovely subscribers. At least I hope you're a subscriber. Simba Dre. He is a friend of the channel, a friend of this community, and he is straight, I believe. I think I'd seen one of your comments, like when you first came across these videos, saying that you're straight, but that you respect my take on things, prison life. So I appreciate it. I believe you straight. Got both eyes on you. It's like I'm just kidding. But anyway, he wrote a comment saying, "I'm happy in the success story of dating the excess, I guess. Dating a cellmate, but talk to me, or can you make a video about the dangers of dating a cellmate? What if one of them cheats, gets insecure, or just wants to, or just does break up with the other person? I can see these becoming deadly or very resentful, and just in general dangerous to be in relationship with a cellmate, because it can and has ended badly for many queens or boys who broke up with the person or cheated on the person or got cheated on by the person they were in the cell with, and man does it end." But yeah. Anyway, yeah, you're right. As a matter of fact, actually, this is something I haven't talked about in a while, but a little common, like, I wouldn't say myth, but a little common unknown fact is that I've recently been stating in more recent videos that majority of the violence that tends to happen to queens are at the hands of the people that they're fooling around with. So the husbands of these queens, the pieces of these queens, meaning like just people that they're, casually messing around with here and there, and that person just gives them stuff from time to time, party favors, commissary, property, just maybe even a hookup, like some help with something. People, when, for example, just like out here, your toilet breaks down, the AC doesn't work, people want a fresh paint job in the cell because the cell ain't been painted in 15, 12, 20 years, so you usually put work orders in for these things, but there's only but 1-2 maintenance men for a whole compound. They're working literally every day, year round. They'll get to you when they get to you. Of course, they get to their homeboys first. They get to the people that are paying them, first. So it helps when you have like a connect of some kind. Queens, the only way that they have a connect in prison is if they are liked by you, by the guys, by whoever. Either they're fooling around with a guy or guys, or they're at least flirty, like friendly and flirty with the guy and stuff. That is literally how queens survive. That, I talk about that all the time. The flip side of that, though, is the danger that comes from it. It blew my mind when I got locked up, as I was learning about my, mandatory lifestyle that I'm gonna have to live. It's not like a choice, Out here, you have choices of whether you're promiscuous or not, whether you keep your virginity or don't, have sex before marriage or don't, things like that. 3-date rule. When I was younger, I used to, believe it or not, I had a 3-date rule, like when I was younger and just first started dating, and I didn't have a clue about the gay community and how sexually driven it is. But I had a 3-date rule. I wouldn't sleep with somebody until at least the 3rd date. But out here, you can have these kinds of choices. In there, no. You don't have no choice. And it's because of the population. It's convict men, criminal men, and then plus they don't have respect for queens. They view you simply as a means to an end of some kind. Either a tool to utilize for self-pleasure, self-gratifying pleasure, or as a source of female replacement companionship. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but So, and we all know how much men respect women, especially these type of men. No shade, no tea, whatever. Like, but seriously, I mean, we know how many videos do you see where everybody is mad that Cardi B being dragged through the mud, or Megan Thee Stallion, or so and so being objectified, or something like that? It's like we know how men view women and treat women in the negative context. So now take women and replace them with these feminine men, either gay feminine men or actual transgender females, and guys view people like myself as something less than human, because you're not obviously a man, you're not an equal to me, but you're not a woman either, so you're something beneath that. Literally, that's how guys view it. And that's why there's like no respect, But with that said, still in all, they use you for their companionship, their loneliness, their pleasure, whatever. And then you add the insult to injury on their part, that it's like, okay, they're already slumming it with you, is how they actually see it. Most of these guys, it's like they have, they've just succumbed to such just awful life conditions of, the torture that it is going for so long without somebody sucking on them or whatever, them bouncing up and down on somebody, that now it's like I have to, just lower myself by getting with you, and then I have to actually put in work to do so and charm your ass and buy you stuff and give you stuff, and then you ain't even loyal to me. You're gonna sleep around with all these different guys, screw around behind my back and stuff with whoever and this dude, and then guys, they be comparing, because it's like they ain't gay but they be gay, because it's like they aren't attracted to men, but they certainly can judge when one is who they think uglier than them or something like that or whatever. So but that's where the violence actually comes from. Queens, it's not like queens want, I think that in the beginning, I don't know, I'm sure that there's no one size fits all for every person, every queen, but I think that majority of the LGBT people that get locked up don't go in with the intentions of sleeping around with everybody. It's simply that you kind of like crumble under pressure in a way, is really what happens. Every day you're like tempted, or you're pressured, or you're bombarded, overwhelmed, intimidated, even bribed, conned, manipulated, whatever, however it gets done. There's a lot of different ways that it can get done, but every day, all day, whomever it is that you're talking to, that is what they're trying to get from you, And so eventually it's like most queens, they crack under that pressure or that temptation, depending upon how you look at it, and become like kids in the candy store to them, and these habits just become permanent patterns. It becomes permanent like behavior with these queens, that you just get used to it. So they either become extremely promiscuous and really don't even know how to stop, especially when you start to get serious with one guy. If you've already for the past year, maybe longer, been fooling around with 8 different guys, and then now you're starting to get serious with this one guy, how in the world would you even cut all of that off? That right there leads to some violence. Because I have seen it, I've heard all of these things all these scenarios that I'm going to mention, I have personally witnessed, been told, or experienced myself. All of them, But right there, you have queens, when they're cutting off different guys or something like that, maybe for one guy, then that will lead to violence. It either leads to some sort of like fight between the guys, or it leads to the queen. Either or, it usually leads to both. Like the guy ends up fighting with the other guy, and the queen at some point be getting beat either by the guys that she dipping out on, or she getting beat by the guy, sometimes again both, by the guy that she's trying to stay with, because now he's pissed that he's even put in a predicament like this, like in a situation like this behind you, who he's slumming it with anyway, mind you. Keep this in mind. This isn't like the conscious thought, but it's definitely, for some it is, but for most I would say it's more like the afterthought. It's sort of like a unconscious, subconscious type of thing, and you could just tell in the manner that they talk to you, they treat you, that they even refer to your situation. That's how you can tell that it's like, it's like they're in La La Land. Like being in prison literally is like being in like an alternative universe, like an alternate universe, like it's just so crazy. But that's one case scenario. Then the main, most popular and most common case scenario is truly by your husband. When I got to prison and I was learning, this is what I started to say before, and I was learning about basically the mandatory lifestyle that I was going to have to live, and I learned actually that the alternative to being promiscuous is being isolated. I learned it by meeting certain queens that didn't want to talk to me. They didn't want, here I am, I want to be friendly with all the queens. I want to know all the queens, like literally for a source of support and relatability. It's like, oh, I know you know my struggle, this is crazy. Like, let's gossip about it. Like, let's talk about these guys, or like, let's just have each other's back type of thing. But I'm learning, no, it doesn't work like that. I'm competition to them. They're competition to me, Like, there's no loyalty amongst queens up in this place, Got it twisted. But these queens, they'd be to themselves. They'd be, like, not speaking to nobody. If somebody even tries to talk to them, they just don't acknowledge the person. Straight up rude, technically. Out here, it would be looked as rude. But in there, it actually is seen as wise. Like, this person clearly has their stuff together. They know how to conduct themselves. You're obviously looking at or trying to talk to somebody who is very well adjusted to this environment. Me going around and saying hi to everybody that says hi to me, I look like a fool. Out here, it looks super friendly and polite. In there, it looks so ridiculous and stupid. And actually, like risky, like kind of a little bit dangerous, to tell you the truth, to be openly friendly like that, especially as a queen. It's almost the same as like a woman walking around in her bra and panties at 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, down back alleyways, dark alleyways. That kind of crazy, bizarre behavior, like why would a woman do that, is the same sort of thing as why would a queen be saying hi to everybody that says hi to you in prison. It's like literally the exact same, But that's how I learned. I learned that through experience, and that's the way that I became. But the actual lifestyle that is presented to me, of course, is that I would be promiscuous. I'm gonna get with a man that's gonna beat me, so you better be prepared. I hope you can fight, maybe make a shank, or have whoever are the other guys that I'm gonna be fooling around with, make sure that they big, bad, or that they part of a gang, that that they can help me out from time to time, because you will be slapped around by your man. Like, this is like literally the syllabus that I'm receiving as I'm, starting to adjust to prison. So right off the bat, I started trying to come up with a scenario that I knew would work for me. I didn't know that being isolated was a option at the time, and also I wasn't even really thinking like that, because I did used to be someone who thought of myself as like a sociable person. I like people. I like socializing with people. I like getting to know people. I also thought that maybe it's to my benefit. At one point in time, I thought that maybe it was to my benefit to actually kind of be as friendly as I can to however many different people, because that helps my support system and protection and stuff. But like everything else, there's always like a price for everything. Like, there's always like a sacrifice for everything, a cost for everything. But that was one thing that I started thinking in my mind. And then the other thing is, I was very, very critical and like highly scrutinizing the dudes that would be trying to get with me, like their history, their dating history with who they had been with, and their charges. This is over time. This is not like right off the bat. I was just wise like this to have this kind of strategy going into a situation with somebody. But over time, I started to kind of like through trial and error and different crazy experiences that I find myself in, I started kind of honing in the way I would interact with people, or I guess like decipher between the different people that were trying to get at me. And one of them is this, or characteristics such as this. What were their charges? What was their dating history? How long they were here? You know, and had they ever been in any kind of domestic? What is it? Domestic altercation with their significant other? And 99% of them had been. That was one of the things. It's interesting Cam and I got together because we had so many differences, but where we are similar, it's like we're the exact same person. And this was one of the things. Like, Cam really hadn't gotten with too many people for multiple different reasons, but one of the main ones is he wasn't trying to be fighting nobody. Like, he's not trying to be beating on no queens. He's not trying to be running behind different queens and stressed out over what they're doing, and he just accepts. He's the type of person where he just accepts things for what it is, and it really it's because of his background. You know, he comes from such a terrible, harsh background that I guess very early in life, like a child, a toddler, he just learned to just accept situations or accept people for just what it is. You know, it's like, can't change it. It's just what it is, you know? And being that this is just the way that queens are, he's not trying to change it, but then at the same time, he's not trying to really get involved with it either. And that's why he had such a hesitation when I first was asking him to move in the cell with me. To this day, I mean, I've let it go, but like for a very long time, we've been together for 4 years. For a while, probably like the first like 2.5 years, maybe 3, I would randomly at times just like tease him. And it's like, yeah, when we first got together, you hesitated to get with me and all of this stuff, you know, but it was because of this. Like, he just went into this. Can you believe this? Cam went into this situation with me thinking that I was, I mean, of course, but thinking that I was just a hoe, that he already knew what time it was, that I'm going to be messing around with this person and that person. And honestly, he went into it strategizing that how he could come up off of me, how he could benefit off of me being a slut. That's a legit penitentiary dude who grew up in the penitentiary. Like, he grew up in there. He's changed so much. Oh my gosh. He had already changed a lot in the 1.5 years that we were in the cell together. Like, he changed a lot. And then since I've been out, he really has changed. You know, it's interesting as you go through life, like, you know, how you evolve. And I've learned something, just a little philosophical moment of the video. People change on their own. You can't change nobody, though. You have to let people change for themselves. You know what I'm saying? That's where I think people go wrong with relationships. Is like, people be trying to change the person. You can't make anybody change. You cannot make a single person change. People either change on their own or they don't, you know. But in some way or another, everybody evolves and changes as they grow, you know. But it's a matter of whether y'all are evolving and changing together or apart. And then there has to be some level of like acceptance with the person that you're with, because you cannot change a person. They change on their own. And thankfully, Cam changed. And that's just because he wanted to keep me, because there was many of times, honey, I would be trying to be out that door. Out. Like, literally gone. And he done locked my ass down. Here we are 4 years later, still can't get away. It's like, I'm just kidding. I love him so much. I wouldn't get away from him even if he opened the door for me. Like, I would not leave. I love him way too much. Just talking smack. But yeah, that's the video, you know, pretty much, is that, yes, queens, it is a bad scenario. I think I'm going to make another video giving more actual examples of this topic, because thinking of your comment, I think the way you worded it, you probably wanted a little bit more of like physical examples, you know, like story time, I guess, like, oh, I knew this queen where this happened, one time with me this happened, you know, in situations like this. But to answer your question, yeah, it definitely, there is a benefit to being with somebody in the cell, like being in a romantic situation with somebody that you're in the cell with, but there also is a lot of risk with it, like a lot of risk. And my example that I can give, and like this video if you want this example, is Boss. I've mentioned him on this channel before. Boss, there's a couple of reasons that I was trying to get away from this man, but one of them was because of these dangers, actually. Like, I had a couple of red flags with him that I was like, I can't. The more every day longer that we were together and I was in the same pod with him and we'd be kicking it with each other every day, each day I knew that it was getting more and more and more dangerous because we were getting more and more close. You get so close to people so fast in prison because you don't have nothing to do all day and you have so much time. Out here, it's like time is constantly getting away from you. You're always trying to fit things into your time. In there, you have an abundance of time. You have just... It seems like the days are almost like longer than they are out here. You know, one day out here feels like half a day, whereas like one day in there feels like 2 days, like 48 hours in one day, you know? So it's like, imagine 48 hours in one day and you're just sitting in a cell talking to somebody. That's just one day. You get so close to people so easily. Like, you can, not does it happen all the time, but it can't. When it does happen, it's like no stopping it, you know? Like Cam and I, we got insanely close. Did I get like that with every person in the 4 years that I was in there? No, but I did with him, and we got like you know, unbreakably close. But I hope you guys are having a great day, and if you want to see more of me, you can always check out Patreon. I post my prison diaries that I used to read on this channel. I post them over on Patreon, and you would always check out the YouTube memberships as well. Have a wonderful day. Love you guys. Bye. Bye.